Orlando Gaming here, coming at you with a video, and today we are going to be kind of recapping the Orlando event this past weekend, and also kind of touching on some cool decks that got there and placed well, and then also kind of trying to bring it all together with my tier list video that I made for this event beforehand. And then just kind of assessing after that what decks I thought did pretty well into the event, and then others that maybe didn't do quite as well. We'll just say that for the lack of a better thing. But before I get into this video, all this information is on eggmanevents.com. Please go and check his site out. I really appreciate him and everyone else in the community that helps put this site together and has all this awesome information of all these decks, all this topping, the charts. It's all really, really amazing, and I'm definitely using this resource, and I am so thankful for him and Cosmic and all the other guys that put all this stuff on for the community. I'm a big fan. Please go and check out their channels and subscribe. But let's get into talking about what happened on Saturday in Orlando. As you can see here, we had the top 16 breakdown chart. The main topping deck was Blue JJK. There were 7 of these. So kind of what a lot of people thought would happen would be Blue JJK and Purple codegeass. So maybe a little disappointed to see the split be in such a huge favor for the Blue JJK. But if you did listen to my tier list video breaking it down, I did think that Blue JJK was a little bit more consistent, and the high roll was really, really strong when they get to see their fingers. But nothing shined with Purple codegeass and Green hunterxhunter being able to pull out 3 tops each in the top 16, I think is great showing for these 2 decks, especially for Kurapika. A lot of people have been sleeping on Kurapika, maybe because it's an older deck or they don't see a lot of people playing it, but this deck is really strong. And I think the only thing it's missing is a little consistency, and maybe it would be like too strong then, but I love this deck. Purple JJK, or Purple codegeass, and Green hunterxhunter are my 2 favorite decks. Glad to see that they both got top 3 finishes here. And then we also had 2 codegeass, the Lancelot deck, into the top 16. A really strong deck, similar to what Kurapika does in trying to play out a big 5K body. This deck has maybe some better means of generating that energy, but it does need to be at a 6 to 8 threshold before it can really pop off and take control in the game. But glad to see that it got 2. And then the star of Saturday here is the Red codegeass Academy Rush deck. I love that this deck top. I think it's super exciting for, anyone who wants to run, kind of a rogue, not really like talked about deck. I am super excited for who topped with this, and looking here to give a shout out to Tranimal for making the top with this deck. Obviously, a big shout out to everyone on this list here who did top, but I really want to shout out the Tranimal for playing the Red codegeass Academy deck. If you did listen to my tier list video, I did mention this deck as a deck that you should watch out for because it is very aggressive. It can really rush after your opponent and put on a lot of pressure early. I do think it has trouble into some big bodies, especially these green matchups. I would like to know what this player's matchups were all day, because I'd imagine going into one of these 2 decks, while you can rush them down pretty early, it would seem like getting over that 5K body would be pretty tough. But it really doesn't matter when you're swinging 5 checks a turn. If they can block one of them with the 5K, they may not get rid of the rest of them. But huge shout out to all the people who topped here in top 16. Going into Sunday, we had a big mix-up, really, of switching of decks, I think, maybe. So we did have 7 Blue JJK decks top in this day, too. So another good showing for the Blue JJK decks. Nothing surprising there. But a drop in the Purple codegeass, and then no Kurapika showings the second day. Which is a little disappointing. I think a lot of people were thinking that the Purple codegeass would really take up a lot more of this chart than maybe some of these other decks, but Purple Bleach had 4 showings on Sunday, which is amazing to think about considering you can see here on the chart for Saturday, there were no Purple Bleach decks in this topping here. So maybe some of the players who didn't do so well in Saturday and got to play Sunday, maybe along the lines there, maybe took some new decks that they weren't as good with or familiar with, and then decided to switch back, go to what they know in the purple bleach, which is a super powerful deck in the metagame right now. So good to see and glad to see that 4 purple bleach were able to get tops here. And then we touched on a second ago, 2 purple codegeass and then also 2 green codegeass. So super excited to see that as well. And then the star of the show, I love these 2 days that we have like these really cool decks, because a yellow JJK Gojo deck did top on the second day. Really awesome for people who want to take rogue decks or decks that are just not as well known, and seeing one topping each day is a big deal, because it shows that this game is in a great place where you can play a lot of different decks, and if you take the time to play them, do well. But definitely big shout out to Dumpin' Donuts. Big shout out to everyone, but especially to Dumpin' Donuts for taking a yellow Gojo deck and really doing well with it. Just to touch on the Gojo, it has a great matchup into Blue JJK. One of my friends and I were doing a lot of testing, and the Gojo has some good matchups into the meta. It is a little slower, but if you curve out well with Gojo, you can put a lot of pressure with your double blocker, and them not having the resources to target your smaller Gojo. But really cool. These are the listings. Please check out the site. It's on eggmanevents.com where you can find all this stuff. But we are going to touch up on a little bit of deck talk here. So Blue JJK is definitely the best deck in format, but there are 3 different ways that you can really build this deck. I know the community, for a lot of people who maybe did tier list videos or, breakdowns of the meta, kind of just clump, Blue JJK together as one deck, but there are, nuances to building this deck. And one of the packages you can go with is a Nanami build, which, helps you cycle the deck a little bit more and then give you that huge payoff with the Nanami. So you can see this is the list here. Still running, the Blue JJK package, which they're all Blue JJK decks. They all run the Yujis, the Makis, the Fingers. The only difference in this is you don't run as much of the Sukunas, and you don't run the Divergent Fist. Usually you run the Ratio Technique Collapse, and you don't really run the Shrine. So really cool ways to build Blue JJK, which is why I don't really have a problem with Blue JJK, being such a prevalent deck, because there's a couple different ways and engines that you can build it. Whether you're going Nanami, the Searcher, Yuji, instead of foregoing the other ones, and not being able to run the Sukuna. And then this is what maybe a more traditional build would be for a normal Blue JJK Sukuna deck, being able to run the 2 Sukunas here. So just to kind of maybe get some topic and talking on it, Nanami is still a Blue JJK deck, so I just think maybe a lot of people didn't know about it going into this event. So I'm really happy that it did so well, and now a lot of people are kind of recognizing that the Nanami package can do a lot in this metagame. The next deck I want to cover is the Academy deck, and this is a really cool deck. Like I said before in one of my other videos, this deck can really rush you down. The main card is this Ashford Academy, and we'll talk on this card a little bit. Effect, play this site, active, activate main, switch to resting. So the turn you play this, you can have it active and then switch it to resting to get this effect. Choose one character with Ashford Academy affinity that was played this turn and switch it to active mode. So essentially being able to rush out your bodies that are lower than 3,000 or less, and then be able to stand them up and swing with them immediately. And that's just kind of the gist of what the deck really wants to do, is put out little bodies, swing with them, and really rush your opponent down before they can really build up any defenses against you. Hopefully you knew about this deck. You listened to me and a couple other content creators that were trying to warn you about this deck, because even though I said that it would not get a top 16, which it did, it was definitely a deck to look out for. The next deck coming up is the Gojo deck. This deck, not also on the tier list that I put to make into the top 16, but it is a really strong deck. And like I said, I think it has a great matchup going into the Blue JJK deck, which is where hopefully this person found a lot of success for the day. I would like to know a lot of people's matchups and just exactly who they played throughout the day. But this deck is really cool. Like I said, the real star of the show is this Gojo here, where your opponent has to pay 1 action point to target with abilities, and it has double blocker, and it only costs 4 to drop. So you're able to kind of stabilize your board with him, and it's a sticky body to get off the board. Just to touch on it a little bit more too, the Nabaros and this Unlimited Void can tap down your opponent's characters, and then this Gojo is kind of how you want to control the board because he has impact. So if you already have him out for the turn, he doesn't have rush or anything like that, but you want to tap their bodies down and then swing into them with the impact, so you clear their bodies and you get a check, and he's 5,000, so he's able to swing over most things in the game that your opponent can put up. So this is going to be the list that I made before, and I think we hit pretty well on the top decks that we knew would be top 8 decks here. Missed big time on Ghetto and Blue Bomber. These 2 decks, I was really disappointed in their performance in the tournament. I did think that each of these would have one each of them sneak into the top 16, but they did not. But these other 2, 4, 6 decks that we said would, be top 16 decks here did do that. But disappointed on these 2. And then, we brought up the Academy deck. I thought outside looking in for sure, but super excited and happy to see that one snuck in. I have this little, thumbs up, thumb down chart I like to make. I'm going to try to do this from now on. We'll go with the thumb downs, the decks I was kind of disappointed in. 3 thumbs down for thru and Ghetto. 2 of the decks I was the most disappointed in these tournaments, not seeing a single one sneak into a top finish, because maybe a lot of players I knew who piloted these decks and were some of the best pilots just did not do well in the tournament, or decided to not take these decks when there was some, better options and more consistent stuff to take. So definitely 3 thumbs down on these 2 decks. I wish I would have seen a couple of tops from them. Not that I said these 2 would top, but that they were on the outside looking in. Still a little disappointed that no one topped with these 2 decks. I do think that they are really good, strong decks. So disappointed there. And then only 1 thumbs down because I didn't expect a Crollo or Toto to make a top here, but I was definitely hopeful because Toto is my favorite character from JJK there. But going to the decks that we thought did really well, 3 thumbs up for Gojo, of course, getting the top. I did not see this coming. I did not believe that Gojo had any means of making it to a top. The deck is a little slow and a little inconsistent, but obviously had a great pilot that was able to see his matchups and do really well. Especially since his best matchup is here. Another 3 thumbs up for the Blue JJK decks. He does well into it, so a great meta call here. 2 thumbs up for, Bleach decks. I thought they did really well. Not the first day at all, but being able to bring it up on the second day with the 4 tops with the Bleach decks, and then the Ashford Academy deck. The only reason maybe not giving 3 thumbs up as opposed to the Gojo, since it was a deck that, had 1 topping, is because I had a feeling that Ashford Academy was on the cusp of making a top 16. So not crazily surprised, whereas like Gojo, I'm definitely surprised big time. And then only 2 thumbs up for the Gawain 2. If anything, maybe could be down here into the 1 thumbs up category. A lot of people were playing this deck, and I would be curious to see like the percentage people playing the deck, and then what percentage of them did not make the topping, because this deck is really consistent. It's going to take conversation in the community to kind of see like what happened with this deck, because if the same amount of people were maybe close to being on it as they were Blue JJK, I am a little disappointed with the toppings for this deck. And then a thumbs up. I didn't expect a ton out of Kurapika or the Lancelot decks, but they did get a couple of toppings, which was expected. If anything, if I had like to choose and be super biased, Kurapika is my favorite deck in all of Union Arena. HunterxHunter is one of my favorite anime. I would put it up here to 3 if it had maybe a couple more toppings, but solid decks here. Let me know your thoughts on how the Orlando event went. What you expected in it, if you performed in it, if you didn't. And, I want to hear everyone's thoughts of what surprised them the most. Obviously, Gojo and the Academy were big surprises. I want to hear what everyone else to say. But before I let you guys go, I just want to say my heart goes out to everyone in California dealing with these fires. I know a couple of people in the community are having issues with that going on right now. But I hope everyone stays safe. And I appreciate everyone watching. Please like and subscribe. Thank you. Peace.